The air was filled with the colorful sounds of animated conversations, laughter, and the clinking of glasses as families gathered to enjoy their meals. In the midst of it all sat a small family at a corner table in a cozy restaurant, where the smell of delicious food wafted through the air. This was a special night for Lily and her mother, Sarah. They had come to celebrate Lily's recent achievement in school. She had won a drawing contest. At only 8 years old, Lily was full of energy and a bright spark of joy. She had long brown hair that danced around her shoulders and big, curious hazel eyes that seemed to take in everything around her. Tonight, she wore her favorite dress, decorated with little blue flowers, a gift from her father before he passed away. Lily missed him every day but tried to be brave. With crayons and paper nearby, she often drew pictures of their happy moments together, like when they had gone on picnics or played soccer in the park. Sarah sat across from her daughter, watching happily as Lily talked excitedly about school and her friends. However, beneath Sarah's warm smile lay an ocean of sorrow. She felt an emptiness that no amount of joy could fill. It had been over a year since Mark, her husband and Lily's father, passed away unexpectedly. Life felt different without him, quieter, deeper. Mark was a loving husband and a playful father who brought laughter into every room he entered. He worked as an artist and loved sharing his passion with Lily, painting bright murals on their walls together. Even now, Sarah could see his colorful spirit reflected in their daughter's drawings. It was bittersweet. Every crayon stroke reminded her of his vibrant personality while also pulling at her heartstrings. The challenges of life without Mark were hard on both Sarah and Lily. They leaned on each other for support during moments of sadness, but still experienced days filled with laughter. Their relationship was built on love and memories, balanced between paying tribute to the past while cautiously walking into the future. On this evening out, Sarah hoped that they could focus on creating new memories, away from the echoes of grief for just one night. She wanted sparkling conversations over pizza and ice cream to sparkle like little stars in their hearts. As they finished ordering their food, Sarah watched as Lily doodled on the napkin, a child's rendition of a superhero soaring through the skies. "Look at me fly," Lily declared dramatically while flapping her arms like wings. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. Moments like this reminded her what joy looked like through the innocent eyes of childhood. When the waiter approached to deliver their meals, he seemed friendly and attentive, just as most waiters are in busy restaurants like this one. But what struck them both in that moment wasn't just his kindness, but rather how similar he looked to Mark. The resemblance was strong enough for Sarah's heart to skip a beat as she unwittingly held on to hope before reality caught up with her as their food was set down on the table. Piping hot pizza topped with gooey cheese. Their experience began to flicker between joy and wistfulness. Each bite delighted Lily while simultaneously tugging at Sarah's heartstrings. It felt bittersweet celebrating something so joyful with someone who wasn't there, and between bites, lively chatter erupted around them about sports games and family vacations while they quietly worked. Through their meal, time slipped away until it was just them together once more, sharing laughs over silly stories and slowly peeling back layers of grief that trapped them in sadness. However, it wasn't until Lily's voice broke through that tranquility. "Mom, that waiter looks just like Dad." In this instant, silence fell around them like falling leaves from autumn trees. Sarah turned swiftly towards the waiter behind them, a look of shock washing over her face as she felt as if time had frozen. The blood drained from her face as emotions welled up inside her. A rush of disbelief mixed with longing for what she lost. How could she feel such familiarity? It struck deep within her chest. Surely it must only be a coincidence, but for that brief moment under those restaurant lights, she allowed herself to hope, perhaps even believe once more. The cozy restaurant buzzed with life as laughter and conversation filled the space, creating a warm atmosphere that wrapped around Sarah and Lily like a comforting blanket. The walls were adorned with colorful artwork and photographs, capturing moments of joy and celebration from countless families who had dined there before. This was a place where memories were made, and tonight, Sarah hoped to add a few more to their collection. As they settled into their corner table, the familiar scent of freshly baked bread and sizzling pizza wafted through the air. Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement as she scanned the menu, her little fingers tracing over the pictures of food. "Can we get the big pepperoni pizza with the extra cheese, Mom? It's my favorite," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "Of course, sweetie," Sarah replied with a smile, her heart swelling at Lily's energy. It was moments like these that reminded her how resilient her daughter was. Even in their grief, they had found ways to celebrate life's little victories together. While they waited for their food, Sarah glanced around at the other diners enjoying their meals. She noticed families gathered around tables, sharing stories and laughter over plates of pasta and colorful salads. The sight warmed her heart, but also brought back bittersweet memories of evenings spent here with Mark. They used to come here for date nights or family outings when Lily was younger. Mark would joke about how he could eat an entire pizza by himself while Lily giggled at his antics. Lost in thought, Sarah felt a small hand tugging at her sleeve. "Mom, look!" Lily pointed excitedly towards a nearby table where a group of children were playing a game together. Their laughter filled the air as they cheered each other on during an impromptu contest to see who could balance breadsticks on their heads the longest. "That looks fun," Sarah chuckled, her eyes twinkling with delight at Lily's joy. "Maybe we should join in next time." Lily beamed back at her mother, loving how she always encouraged playfulness even on days that felt heavy. They shared stories about what it was like when Mark was around, how he would challenge them to silly games or make up funny songs that would have them all laughing until their bellies hurt. Their conversation flowed easily between bites of delicious food, as they enjoyed each other's company in this familiar setting. As they savored gooey slices of pizza, topped with pepperoni and melted cheese, Sarah felt grateful for this moment. The warmth between them was palpable. "Do you remember when Dad tried to make homemade pizza?" Lily asked suddenly, her face lighting up with mischief. "Oh gosh! How could I forget?" Sarah laughed out loud now. "He thought he could just throw everything into the dough without measuring anything. It turned into one huge blob." "Yes. And then we ended up ordering takeout instead." Lily giggled uncontrollably as memories flooded back. Silly moments that reminded them both of Mark's playful spirit even when things didn't go as planned. As they reminisced about those cherished times spent together. A tapestry woven from laughter, love, and light. Sarah felt both comforted and heartbroken by the absence of Mark. The ache of loss was still there but mingled softly with warmth and gratitude for having shared such beautiful moments as a family. After finishing their meal, Lily glanced down at her napkin where she had been doodling throughout dinner. A drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright sun surrounded by flowers. "Look what I made," she said proudly. "That's wonderful. That's us," Sarah exclaimed while feeling tears prick at her eyes. Not from sadness but from overwhelming love for this little girl who so beautifully carried pieces of her father within her. They decided to order dessert, an indulgent chocolate cake drizzled with raspberry sauce, and as it arrived at their table in all its glory, it brought forth another wave of happiness between them. The sweetness matched perfectly with their light-hearted banter about who would have the biggest slice or whether they should share it equally, which never really happened anyway. In these simple yet significant moments, a celebration marked by laughter amidst sorrow, Sarah felt hope blossoming in unexpected ways. Perhaps tonight wouldn't just be an escape from grief, but also an opportunity to honor Mark's memory through love shared over pizza slices and chocolate cake. As they left the restaurant later that evening hand in hand, hearts slightly lighter, they stepped into the cool night air filled with possibilities ahead, while holding tight to precious memories behind them. Together they continued navigating life's journey, one moment at a time. As Sarah and Lily savored the last bites of their decadent chocolate cake, the restaurant buzzed with energy. Laughter and chatter surrounded them, blending into a comforting hum that somehow made their little corner feel even more special. In that moment, both mother and daughter felt uplifted, wrapped in a cocoon of warmth created by shared memories and the love that still lingered between them. Just then, out of the corner of her eye, Lily noticed a waiter bustling around the restaurant, carrying a tray filled with drinks. He had wavy brown hair and a friendly face, features that felt so familiar to her. Her heart raced with excitement as she leaned forward and whispered urgently to her mother, "Mom, look at that waiter." Sarah turned her head, momentarily confused by the sudden intensity in Lily's voice. "What is it, sweetheart?" she asked, following the direction of Lily's gaze. With bright eyes wide open, Lily pointed eagerly, her voice rising with enthusiasm. Mom, that waiter looks just like Dad. Time seemed to pause for Sarah. The words hung in the air like shimmering lights before fading into silence. It felt as though the whole world around her had blurred out of focus. She turned slowly to look at the waiter again, her heart pounding in her chest. There was an uncanny resemblance. The same gentle smile, the warm sparkle in his eyes, and even the way he moved with an effortless grace that reminded her so much of Mark. For a heartbeat, Sarah felt hope surge within her. A flicker in the fog of grief that surrounded her daily life. She blinked quickly, attempting to shake off the disbelief. She knew it was just a coincidence. Yet the sight of the stranger stirred up emotions buried deep inside her. Lily bounced slightly in her seat, still captivated by the waiter. He looks so much like Dad, she chirped again, her innocence shining through each word. Sarah could see how excited Lily was, her little mind racing with possibilities and connections that only a child could make. Sweetheart, Sarah began softly, attempting to ground herself amid the whirlwind of feelings. I know he looks like Daddy. She didn't want to burst Lily's bubble of excitement but also needed to tread carefully through her own swirling emotions. But he isn't really Dad, she added gently, feeling a bittersweet pang rise in her chest. Lily's attention remained fixated on the waiter, who had now stopped at another table to help some guests settle in. But look at him! He has Daddy's hair and his smile, Lily exclaimed confidently. Maybe he's like a secret superhero, just like in my drawings. Maybe he might even know how to make pizza like Dad did. The innocent connection made Sarah smile despite herself. You have a very vivid imagination, she replied, chuckling softly at Lily's enthusiasm. Yet deep down, Sarah could see how much this moment meant to her daughter. It was another lifeline thrown across the vast ocean of loss they were navigating together. As if sensing their attention, the waiter paused and glanced toward their table. A flicker of curiosity danced across his face as he met Lily's wide-eyed gaze. For a moment, he smiled warmly at them, as if recognizing their need for connection during this special evening. In that brief interaction, Sarah felt another wave wash over her. A strange mix of sadness and delight. Here was Lily, still so innocent in her view of the world, holding on to memories while also finding joy in unexpected places. Each likeness they spotted became a bridge to Mark's spirit that still hovered close, the echo of his laughter lingering in their hearts. Maybe we should go say hello, Lily suggested suddenly, her excitement building again as she bounced in her seat. Oh, honey. Sarah hesitated just for a moment but then softened at the thrill lighting up Lily's face. Perhaps it wouldn't hurt to share their joy with this friendly stranger who had stirred so many feelings within them. Okay, let's go say hi, she said finally, feeling empowered by Lily's hopeful spirit. Together they would step into this moment, joining hands as they navigated through both memory and imagination. Stemming from what once was they approached the waiter together with tentative steps. Sarah felt both nervous and exhilarated. This unexpected twist in their evening offered something different. An opportunity to celebrate Mark's memory not through sadness but through the happiness he had once brought into their lives. Hand in hand with Lily beside her, Sarah prepared to embrace this new adventure, perhaps filled with laughter yet again or simply breathing life into cherished memories that could forever connect them to Mark's vibrant spirit. Lily's excited words hung in the air. Sarah felt her heart leap into her throat. Time seemed to freeze for a brief moment, and the bustling restaurant around them faded into a soft blur. The laughter of other diners and the clinking of dishes became distant echoes as she focused on her daughter's innocent declaration. Mom, that waiter looks just like Dad. Sarah turned slowly to look at the waiter, her breath catching in her chest. He was busy balancing trays filled with drinks, but as he moved, something about him struck her deeply. The way he carried himself, the gentle smile that played on his lips, even the hint of warmth in his gaze. It felt like stepping back into a dream where everything was familiar yet surreal. A rush of emotions washed over Sarah. Shock, disbelief, and a sudden wave of longing for Mark coursed through her like a tidal wave. She could hardly believe what she heard. Surely it was just a coincidence that this stranger bore such an uncanny resemblance to her late husband. Yet here she was, standing at the edge of hope and heartbreak all at once. Sweetheart, she began to say softly, attempting to anchor herself amidst the emotional storm swirling inside her. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued to stare at the waiter. "I know he looks like Daddy." But even as she spoke those words, Sarah couldn't shake the flicker of hope igniting within her heart. That it was like a tiny flame battling against the shadows cast by grief that had hung over them since Mark's passing. Could it really be possible for someone else to share such similar features? Would it be so wrong to let herself feel this glimmer of joy mixed with sorrow? Lily bounced in her chair with excitement, completely absorbed in her belief that this waiter could somehow be an extension of their father's spirit. "Look! He has Daddy's hair!" she exclaimed again with pure delight shining in her eyes. "And his smile! Maybe he's like a superhero who came to help us today." Sarah couldn't help but smile affectionately at Lily's unfiltered enthusiasm. It reminded her of how resilient children could be when faced with loss. She admired how Lily found ways to connect their memories while also keeping hope alive in their hearts. But beneath that smile lay an ache, a contrast between joy and despair. How could she explain to Lily that even though this man looked so much like Mark, he wasn't really him? How could she navigate through this moment without breaking both their hearts? "Lily," Sarah said gently, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes as she swallowed hard against the lump forming in her throat. "He isn't really Dad." Her voice softened even more at Lily's crestfallen expression, as if trying to gently catch a fragile butterfly without damaging its delicate wings. "Why not?" Lily asked innocently, tilting her head slightly as if searching for answers hidden in Sarah's face. The question tugged at Sarah's heartstrings. What could she say? Because Dad is gone. Was a truth too heavy for such light-hearted moments? But there was no denying how much this moment meant to both of them. It felt as if Mark were reaching out from beyond with love disguised in a familiar face. Just then, the waiter glanced their way again and caught sight of Lily's bright eyes staring up at him expectantly. He smiled warmly back at them, an invitation wrapped in kindness that seemed to cross some invisible boundary between strangers and family. In that instant, something shifted within Sarah. A realization washed over her. Perhaps this didn't have to be about loss after all, but rather about connection and remembrance. Here they were celebrating life and love through shared experiences. Meeting someone who reminded them so vividly of Mark wasn't something to shy away from but embrace wholeheartedly. "Maybe we should go say hello," Lily suggested suddenly with renewed excitement dancing across her face. Sarah hesitated for just a moment before nodding slowly. Why not? Perhaps meeting this stranger wouldn't erase their pain but instead weave another thread into their tapestry of memories. One filled with warmth amidst sorrow. "Okay," Sarah said finally. Feeling empowered by Lily's bright spirit beside her. Hand in hand, they stood together ready to approach the waiter. Not only seeking acknowledgement from him but also allowing themselves one more chance to celebrate Mark's vibrant legacy through laughter and joy shared between mother and daughter on this unforgettable evening together. As Sarah prepared to stand up and approach the waiter with Lily by her side, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. The warmth of the restaurant suddenly faded into a flickering memory, and she found herself transported back to happier times spent with Mark. It was as if the laughter and love they once shared enveloped her like a comforting embrace. She could vividly picture it. A sunny afternoon in their backyard, where Mark had decided to surprise them with an impromptu picnic. He had laid a bright red blanket on the grass and filled it with all of their favorite foods. Sandwiches piled high with turkey and cheese, fresh strawberries, and even homemade cookies that were still warm from the oven. "Don't you worry," he had said with a mischievous grin, his blue eyes sparkling. "I'll make sure to pack enough treats to keep my two favorite girls happy." Lily had giggled ecstatically, bouncing up and down in excitement as she helped her dad arrange the food. Watching them together filled Sarah's heart with joy. The way Mark knelt down to Lily's eye level, his laughter mingling with hers in a way that made the whole world seem perfect. In that moment, Sarah remembered how Mark would always make silly faces while pretending to be a dinosaur, causing Lily to burst into fits of laughter. Their home echoed with love and light as they played games under the sun, creating memories that felt timeless. "Mom, look at me," Lily had shouted during one of those picnics, holding up a goofy drawing she had made of their family. Stick figures drawn in colorful crayon with oversized heads and smiles so big they threatened to pop off the page. "That's the best family portrait I've ever seen," Mark had exclaimed, wrapping his arms around both Sarah and Lily as he lovingly held the masterpiece up for inspection. The thought brought a smile to Sarah's face even now, but it was bittersweet. That vibrant image of their happiness contrasted sharply with the reality of their lives today. She felt a pang of loss deep within her chest. The ache of missing Mark was always there, but sometimes caught her off guard like a wave crashing unexpectedly against the shore. Shaking herself from the nostalgic reverie, Sarah glanced back at Lily, who was still bubbling with excitement about approaching the waiter. The innocence in her daughter's eyes reminded Sarah that life still held moments of joy and connection, even amidst their sorrow. Maybe we can tell him about our favorite picnic, Sarah thought aloud, finding comfort in how sharing memories could keep Mark's spirit alive. It felt like a gentle nudge from beyond, a reminder that love transcended time and space. Just then, a new memory washed over her. One of their family vacations to the beach. They had spent hours building sandcastles while Mark took on the role of both architect and engineer, crafting intricate towers adorned with seashells. Lily had squealed in delight each time a wave threatened to wash away their creation, and Mark would swoop in at just the right moment to save it. "Quick, grab the bucket," he called out playfully as he raced toward the water, determination etched on his face. The joy they shared during those carefree days marked moments that Sarah desperately clung to as anchors amid life's turbulent waters. Mark's laughter echoed in her mind, as she recalled how he would pick up seaweed and pretend it was spaghetti, while making silly noises that had them all rolling on the sand in laughter. Those days were filled not just with fun, but also a sense of togetherness that left an imprint on Sarah's heart as she drew herself back into the present moment. She realized something profound. Every memory they created together was woven into Lily. Her daughter carried pieces of Mark within her. His warmth, humor, and love reflected in her bright spirit. "Okay?" Sarah said softly, determination flooding her voice as she squeezed Lily's hand gently. "Let's go say hello." With renewed purpose, they stepped away from their table toward the waiter who resembled Mark as they walked together. Mother and daughter. They were not just seeking acknowledgement from a friendly stranger. They were embracing a chance to honor Mark's legacy through shared memories that continued to shape their lives. In that instant, Sarah understood that while grief might always be part of their journey, so too would be love, a powerful force connecting them not just to their past but also guiding them towards the future filled with hope and new experiences yet to come. As Sarah and Lily approached the waiter, Sarah's heart raced, each step bringing a whirlwind of emotions crashing over her. The closer they got, the more she found herself studying the waiter with careful attention. He was tall and lean, with warm brown eyes that sparkled with kindness. His smile was easy and genuine, radiating a sense of comfort that drew Sarah in like a moth to a flame. When he noticed them approaching, the waiter greeted them with an inviting smile. "Good evening. How are you two doing tonight?" he asked, his voice smooth and warm, like honey drizzling over freshly baked bread. In that moment, Sarah felt as though she were locked in a bubble of familiarity. The way he spoke reminded her so much of Mark, how he would bend down to meet Lily's gaze and inquire about her day with genuine interest. "Mom, he looks just like Dad," Lily whispered excitedly beside her, reaffirming what Sarah had been feeling all along. The innocent joy in her daughter's voice tugged at Sarah's heartstrings, but it also sent a tremor of uncertainty through her. Here stood a stranger whose demeanor mirrored the essence of the man she missed dearly. It was both comforting and disorienting. As the waiter continued chatting with them, Sarah took note of his gentle mannerisms. The way he tilted his head slightly while listening intently to their responses, leaning in just enough to show he truly cared. Each movement felt so reminiscent of Mark's compassionate nature, igniting an internal struggle within Sarah. Could she allow herself to feel this connection? Was it reasonable to lose herself in the warmth of familiarity when it was rooted in someone who was not her husband? She fought against the swell of emotions rising inside her as memories of Mark crashed over her like waves. Times when he had made her laugh during difficult moments or offered support when life felt overwhelming. "Is there anything I can get for you?" the waiter asked, breaking through Sarah's reverie. His voice had that same melodic cadence Mark used when speaking softly to soothe their daughter during tough times. Sarah blinked rapidly, her emotions swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. Just water for now, please," she replied hesitantly. She didn't want to linger too long on this unexpected resemblance. She needed to ground herself in reality again. But even as she spoke, she felt foolish for wanting even a fleeting moment longer in this bubble where Mark's spirit seemed to exist. Lily, full of energy and excitement, chimed in next to her. "And we need more chocolate cake. It was super yummy." The request brought a fresh smile to the waiter's face, his eyes twinkling as he laughed softly at Lily's enthusiasm. "Of course. I'll be right back with your cake," he replied, stepping away but not before giving them one last warm look that sent ripples of nostalgia through Sarah's heart as he walked away. Sarah felt a strange mix of gratitude and grief wash over her. The memory of Mark flickered vividly in her mind, dancing under the stars during summer nights, sharing ice cream cones on lazy Sundays, and how effortlessly he could light up any room through his laughter. But now came the painful reminder that those moments were gone. They belonged to a past that felt both cherished and haunting in its absence. She watched the waiter move gracefully between tables, delivering food and drinks with ease while radiating warmth, a reflection of everything she admired about Mark. Taking a deep breath, Sarah glanced down at Lily, who was eagerly swinging her legs under the table in anticipation. Despite the ache in her chest for what was lost, there was something new blossoming between them, an understanding that love transcended even the boundaries set by death. As Sarah sat there contemplating the bittersweet nature of life, she realized that embracing this moment didn't mean she was forgetting Mark. Rather, it meant celebrating the love they had shared while allowing space for new connections to emerge. The waiter's demeanor provided comfort in their time of grief, a reminder that kindness still existed in the world around them. Maybe this interaction could offer a fresh perspective on their journey through grief. One filled not only with sorrow but also with love and hope, with renewed purpose swirling within her heart. Sarah prepared herself for whatever came next as they made room for sharing laughter and memories, not just in remembrance but also in celebration of life itself. Sarah watched as Lily's excitement bubbled over like a fizzy drink, her small frame bouncing in anticipation. "Mom, he really looks just like Dad," she exclaimed again, pointing animatedly at the waiter as he returned with their dessert. His presence seemed to light up not just the room but also a flicker of joy in Sarah's heart. "He really does," Sarah found herself agreeing, breathing in the richness of the moment while reflecting on Lily's innocent perception. It was almost as though this waiter had taken on some of Mark's warm essence, bringing back an echo of laughter and familiarity that felt too precious to ignore. Lily continued, her voice filled with childlike wonder. "Do you think he'd like chocolate cake? Or maybe if we told him our favorite pizza topping, he could make it just like Dad did?" Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm at the very thought. Caught in the shelter of Lily's joyful imagination, Sarah felt a smile tugging at her lips. She could almost hear Mark's playful laughter dancing through their memories. How much fun he would have had in this very situation, sharing dessert and building connections through food and laughter. "Daddy always loved making pizza special for us," Sarah mused, trying to keep the conversation light even as nostalgia tinged her heart. "He would put everything he could think of on it. Mushrooms, olives, and extra cheese." As she spoke, a soft chuckle escaped her lips, her mind drifting to simpler times when Mark would enthusiastically whip up his signature creations in the kitchen. "What if we ask the waiter what his favorite pizza is?" Lily suggested eagerly. "Maybe it will be just like Dad's." Her words hit a tender nerve within Sarah, prompting reflections on Mark's creativity in many aspects of their lives, the way he infused joy into cooking, music, and storytelling. She could picture him now, crouching next to Lily as they attempted to create their own masterpiece in the kitchen. "It sounds like a great idea," Sarah replied softly, feeling a subtle rush of warmth at the shared experience. "You know your dad would have probably asked that waiter about his favorite food too, that he loved talking to people." As they shared ideas, memories began cascading through Sarah's mind like a gentle stream flowing through a serene landscape. There were visions of evenings spent baking cookies together during winter nights, Mark flouring the countertops while joking how they must beat each other in the cookie decorating contest. How they laughed as frosting fought back and found its way onto noses. Lily turned her gaze toward her mother, noticing her reflective expression. "Mom, can you imagine? If Dad were here, right now, he'd be so excited to tell us stories about when he worked at his first job. He loved food and meeting new people." For a brief moment, it felt as if Mark was encapsulated within their conversation. His laughter echoed softly in her mind and around them like a gentle breeze swaying the leaves on a tree. "Yes," Sarah whispered, blinking rapidly to fend off tears. He'd talk about how much fun it was working in that little cafe downtown. At that cafe, Mark had always found ways to brighten people's days by crafting art from food with just luscious toppings or perfectly sculpted foam designs in coffee cups. "Yeah, and he'd run around making funny faces just like that waiter." Lily giggled, mimicking an exaggerated expression that sent waves of laughter bouncing between them. Sarah couldn't help but join her daughter's amusement. Seeing the echo of Mark alive in this playful imitation made their loss feel slightly less heavy. With every memory that unfurled during their conversation, a sense of connection blossomed, not just to Mark but between mother and daughter as well. That it was an uninterrupted bond built constructively on love and remembrance. A way for both of them to keep Mark's spirit alive by sharing stories and laughter. "Let's tell the waiter all about him when he comes back," Lily suggested brightly. "We can share our favorite stories about Dad." The simplicity of her request warmed Sarah's heart further. It reminded her that sometimes it was through these small gestures, these shared memories, that they could continue celebrating Mark's legacy together. Creating new connections might help soften the edges of grief by intertwining memories they held close with new experiences forged from love. "Absolutely," Sarah said firmly, energized by Lily's enthusiasm. "Let's invite him into our story." As she prepared herself for whatever lay ahead, feeling refreshed by this new perspective, Sarah recognized that this evening might hold something far more significant than simply enjoying dessert. It became an opportunity for connection beyond space and time, even if only within this tiny yet vibrant restaurant booth where past memories intertwined neatly with present moments filled with hope and promise. As the waiter finished taking orders from a nearby table and began to make his way back in their direction, Sarah felt her heart race. Lily's enthusiasm radiated beside her, filling the air with a vibrant energy that made Sarah feel both excited and anxious. This moment felt significant, a crossroads where nostalgia and reality intertwined, leaving her at the edge of uncertainty. "Mom, look, he's coming back," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with anticipation. Sarah swallowed hard, suddenly aware of the weight of the decision she was about to make. The closer the waiter came, the more she felt a storm of emotions rising within her, hope battling against fear. She could hardly believe she was contemplating reaching out to a stranger who so closely resembled the man she loved. "Okay?" she whispered under her breath, gathering every ounce of courage she could muster. This wasn't just about meeting a waiter. It was about honoring Mark's memory and allowing herself to embrace joy in this unexpected moment. It was about teaching Lily that love can still exist even when faced with loss. As he approached their table, Sarah felt every heartbeat pulse through her, each thud echoing louder than the last. "What if he doesn't respond like I hope? What if I break down? What if—" Thoughts raced through her mind in rapid succession, threatening to overwhelm her. But as she glanced at Lily beaming with excitement beside her, those worries began to fade like shadows at dawn. The waiter arrived at their table with his usual friendly smile that seemed to light up his face. "How are you two doing tonight? Everything all right?" he asked warmly. "Yes, we're great," Lily chimed in enthusiastically. "We were just talking about how much you look like my dad." At those words, time seemed to suspend itself as Sarah braced for how the waiter might react. The mixture of fear and anticipation left her breathless until he responded with a chuckle and gentle nod, as though he understood the connection being drawn here. "That's quite a compliment. I'll take it," he replied playfully, his tone inviting and open. For a fleeting moment, Sarah's heart soared at his response. It felt like Mark's spirit had brushed against them both. A fleeting acknowledgement that they weren't alone in their memories. Yet despite this warmth, there remained an undercurrent of tension as Sarah fought against tears welling up in her eyes. Gathering herself anew, she finally found her voice amid the whirlpool of emotions swirling within. "Thank you," she managed to say softly, looking into his kind brown eyes that reminded her so much of Mark's warmth. "It's just we lost our dad recently." The words hung heavy in the air between them while Lily watched silently beside her. For a moment, Sarah feared she had broken some unspoken boundary by sharing such personal grief with someone they barely knew. But strangely enough, there was comfort in acknowledging their pain out loud instead of bottling it up inside. "I'm so sorry to hear that," the waiter replied gently, genuine empathy shining through his expression as he leaned slightly closer. "If it's okay with you both, I'd love to hear more about him." With those simple words from a stranger, they granted permission for healing amidst hurt. Sarah felt more alive and connected than ever before. Suddenly this moment transformed into something sacred, a shared space where they could honor Mark together as they forged new paths through their memories. Lily chimed in eagerly again. "Dad loved making pizza for us, and cookies too. He always made funny faces when he cooked." As she spoke animatedly about their experiences, her little hands flailing in excitement, Sarah couldn't help but smile despite herself. Laughter bubbled up inside her as nostalgic memories surged forth once more. "I bet your dad made some amazing pizzas," the waiter encouraged with interest sparkling in his eyes. "Yeah, he put everything on it, mushrooms and olives," Lily continued without skipping a beat, with each story shared between them, the laughter flowing freely. The tension began melting away into warmth that filled not only their table, but also infused Sarah's heart with newfound hope amidst sorrowful shadows lingering behind them. "This is what Dad would have wanted," Sarah thought as she exchanged smiles with Lily, both embracing this moment together while keeping Mark alive through joyful reminiscences sparked anew by an unexpected connection formed. Within these four walls of love and compassion that night, they continued sharing stories over dessert, the waiter's laughter mingling seamlessly into theirs. Sarah understood that sometimes it took courage to unlock joy even when pain lingered nearby. Through this exchange made possible by fate or chance or sheer serendipity, they were reshaping grief into something lighter, a way forward wrapped in kindness where love continued enduring beyond every goodbye shared along life's winding journey. Ahead at us, they continued their conversation. Sarah felt a wave of comfort enveloping her. The waiter, a young man with a warm smile and friendly demeanor, seemed genuinely interested in what they had to say. "So, what kind of pizza did your dad make that you loved so much?" he asked, leaning in slightly as if inviting them into his world. "Oh, Dad made the best pizzas," Lily exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "He would put everything on it, mushrooms, olives, extra cheese. Sometimes he'd even let us choose our toppings." "That sounds amazing," the waiter replied, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "I love making pizzas too. There's something really special about creating something delicious that people enjoy." Sarah couldn't help but smile at the way the waiter engaged with Lily. His passion reminded her of Mark's own love for cooking, how he poured joy into every meal prepared for their family. It struck her how similar this moment felt to those evenings spent in their kitchen, laughter echoing off the walls while Mark guided Lily through each step of making their favorite dishes. "Did your dad ever let you help?" the waiter asked Lily, his gaze brightening further. "Yeah," Lily giggled, delighted by the attention. "He'd let me sprinkle the cheese and even shape the dough into funny shapes." As Lily spoke, Sarah's heart swelled with pride at her daughter's vivid memories. She felt encouraged by this connection. The warmth radiating among them created a space filled with hope and nostalgia. The waiter's enthusiasm and genuine interest provided a soothing balm to Sarah's heart. "What about you? How did you get into waiting tables?" Sarah found herself asking, wanting to learn more about this stranger who had unexpectedly become a part of their evening. The waiter chuckled softly, brushing his hair back with an easy motion. "Actually, I've always loved being around food and people, and my mom owned a little cafe when I was growing up. I used to help out there after school, serving customers and learning recipes from her, while picking up some tricks along the way." The mention of his mother struck another chord within Sarah. She could visualize Mark sharing stories of his own childhood experiences in the kitchen with his mother, whose love for cooking had laid the groundwork for his culinary adventures later in life. "Was it hard for you to take over?" Sarah probed gently. He paused for just a moment before answering thoughtfully. "It was definitely a challenge when she passed away last year, but I wanted to keep her legacy alive by making sure that everyone who came into our cafe felt welcomed and loved." Suddenly, an understanding washed over Sarah as they connected through shared experiences of loss and remembrance. This remarkable stranger had carved out an identity rooted in love, just like Mark had done for their family all those years ago. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said gently, her voice sincere and warm as she spoke to him directly now. "Thank you," he said sincerely, meeting her gaze with compassion in his eyes. "It's tough some days, but I've learned that talking about the memories helps." In those words, Sarah recognized something profound. It echoed her own need to honor Mark's memory by keeping him alive in conversations driven by love and shared joy rather than sorrow alone. Both of them navigated their grief amidst joyful reminiscences sparked by Lily's youthful exuberance. Their connection blossomed in unexpected ways. Lily tugged at Sarah's sleeve then and added excitedly, "Maybe we can help him come up with new recipes together. Right?" The idea hung beautifully in the air between them like delicate threads woven together. It felt as though they were all tied by invisible strings connecting hearts through shared pain intertwined with happiness. "Absolutely," he agreed instantly, smiling broadly at both girls now. "I'd love that." For Sarah, this simple exchange transformed into something deeply meaningful. It turned from mere conversation into a celebration of life itself. A chance taken to remember Mark fondly, while embracing new friendships forged through moments like these as they chatted away about potential pizza ideas and favorite family recipes, sparking laughter around the table again. An unexpected joy replaced any lingering sadness within her heart. She felt lighter somehow. Sarah realized that connections could emerge when least expected, even amid grief's weighty presence. And sometimes those connections lead down paths illuminated by kindness where cherished memories flourished anew amongst shared stories, revealing hidden journeys entwined over lives lived fully despite loss endured along the way. With every laugh shared between them, the warmth of friendship blossomed, and together they created another layer of healing friendship unique, not only within this restaurant booth, but also paving ways toward brighter tomorrows built on resilient foundations rooted firmly within love's embrace that would never fade away regardless of time or distance separating past from future anew. As the evening wore on and laughter filled the space around their table, Sarah felt an unexpected lightness begin to settle in her heart. Every shared story about Mark created a swirling tapestry of memories, each thread representing moments of joy, love, and his playful spirit. The warmth surrounding them felt more vibrant than before, blending hope with remembrance in a way that eased the heaviness she had carried for so long. Lily, ever curious and full of life, launched into another tale about her father. And then one time at the beach, she began, her eyes alight with excitement. "Dad built the tallest sandcastle ever. He even used seashells as flags." As Lily spoke animatedly, Sarah watched her daughter's face transform with each word. It was as if Mark himself was brought back to life in those cherished moments they shared together as a family. Hearing these stories filled Sarah with bittersweet nostalgia, a mix of happiness for having those days but also sadness for their absence now. Yet amidst the conflicting emotions lay a deeper understanding. Mark's spirit lived on through Lily. Watching her daughter, Sarah felt inspired. She realized that while they would always feel the ache of losing Mark, they could also celebrate his essence by holding tight to these joyous moments, ensuring he remained a part of their lives. It became clear to Sarah that grief didn't have to overshadow their memories. Instead, those memories could illuminate new paths forward. Overwhelmed with emotion, yet grounded by love, Sarah decided that this was not just an ordinary dinner. It was an opportunity to reclaim the joy that had been intertwined with their loss. "Lily," she said softly as she gently placed her hand on her daughter's arm, "what do you think Dad would want us to do right now?" Lily paused thoughtfully before replying, "He'd want us to keep making new memories and eat lots of yummy food." Sarah burst into laughter at her daughter's innocent yet profound insight. "You are absolutely right." She turned towards Lily, smiles exchanged between them. The realization resonated deep within. Embracing grief did not mean abandoning happy memories. It meant intertwining them all into a shared story rich with love, as if sensing their connection strengthening further. The waiter returned with plates piled high with freshly made chocolate cake adorned with whipped cream and strawberries. "Here you go, just how your dad would have wanted it," he quipped lightly while setting down the desserts. Before them, in that moment, Sarah's heart swelled anew. The sweet aroma and beautiful presentation reminded her vividly of how Mark loved treating them to special desserts after family meals. "Thank you so much," she said to the waiter sincerely, feeling gratitude wash over her for both him and this moment. "Enjoy every bite." and remember, food tastes better when shared. He replied warmly before wandering off to check on other tables. With each bite of cake they savored together, Sarah felt a sense of peace emanating from within, a reassuring knowledge that love transcended even death. She took time to inhale deeply between mouthfuls. The flavor bursting on her tongue stirred up delicious memories once locked away behind pain's veil. But now memories opened up pathways leading towards an abundance of fond recollections slowly returning into focus. Laughter echoing through family gatherings filled with stories exchanged over perfectly cooked meals. The joy shared around kitchen tables where everyone gathered until late at night discussing dreams and aspirations. "Mom!" Lily's voice broke through Sarah's thoughts as she wiped frosting from her mouth playfully. "Can we tell more stories about Dad every time we come here?" "Yes, absolutely," Sarah exclaimed enthusiastically, feeling renewed vigor within herself. This would be their new tradition. A way to honor Mark by keeping his spirit alive among them by sharing joyful tales every chance they got. In that exchange blossomed hope. Between forks raised high above plates lovingly dotted by remnants of food lingered possibilities unlimited against horizons colored bright spanning journeys still waiting ahead. Their love expanding beyond limits while carrying forward cherished memories. Crafted long ago, woven forever together like an unbreakable tapestry intertwined through life as they prepared to head home later that evening. Hands linked tightly winding through bustling restaurant pathways. Sarah couldn't help but reflect on how this experience had brought clarity amid chaos. Grief might always exist, but so too would be joy, a coexistence blossoming forth where love remained aglow, illuminating pathways toward brighter tomorrows waiting patiently just beyond today. Beyond. Sorrow looked squarely in its eye, allowing laughter again bursting free alongside them, both beckoning brightly ahead, unafraid, unyielding despite loss endured along each winding turn, taken ever onward toward future made real in dreams nurtured alive forevermore. As Sarah and Lily walked hand in hand out of the restaurant, the evening air was cool and filled with possibilities. The laughter and warmth they had shared at the table lingered in their hearts like the sweet taste of chocolate cake. While the memories of Mark would always carry a bittersweet weight, Sarah felt lighter than she had in a long time, buoyed by the joy of remembering him and the new connections they had forged. And reflecting on the night, Sarah realized how significant moments like these could be in the healing process. They had navigated through their grief together, allowing themselves to feel sadness while simultaneously embracing joyful memories. It was as if each laugh and shared story had woven another thread into the tapestry of their lives, reminding them that love had not vanished with Mark. It simply transformed into a different kind of presence. "Mom," Lily said suddenly, breaking through Sarah's thoughts. "Can we come back here next week? I want to tell more stories about Dad, and maybe we can ask the waiter about his favorite pizza again." The excitement in her daughter's voice was infectious, and Sarah couldn't help but smile. "Absolutely. This is our special place now," she replied, feeling a rush of warmth spread through her. It was a commitment to keep Mark's spirit alive not just in memory but in practice, by creating new traditions that celebrated life even amidst loss. As they stepped outside, Sarah paused to take a deep breath, inhaling the crisp night air filled with the scent of blooming flowers nearby. It felt refreshing, like a promise of renewal. She understood now that grief was not just a heavy cloak draped over them. It was part of a journey that would always include cherished memories intertwined with moments of joy in her heart. She knew that while there would be tough days ahead, days when she might feel overwhelmed by sadness or miss Mark's presence fiercely, there would also be days like today. Days filled with laughter echoing around dinner tables and sweet memories shared over meals cooked with love. Life would continue. It would evolve into something new and beautiful. "Mom," Lily's innocent voice broke through her thoughts again, drawing her back to the present. "Do you think Dad is proud of us?" Sarah knelt down beside her daughter and looked into those bright hazel eyes, filled with curiosity and hope. "Absolutely, sweetheart, I know he is," she answered earnestly. "He would want us to keep making memories and to support each other just like we did tonight." With those words, Sarah felt a sense of peace settle within her. It was as if Mark's spirit wrapped around them both, affirming their bond and encouraging them to move forward with love and hope. She was grateful for this connection, not only between them but with everyone they encountered along their path as they walked toward their car. Sarah reflected on how experiences like this dinner could bring comfort in unexpected ways. The waiter had become more than just a stranger serving food. He had become a vessel through which memories were shared and stories were told, proving that kindness could illuminate even the darkest moments. She understood now that cherishing memories did not mean dwelling on what they had lost. It meant celebrating all that Mark had brought into their lives, the laughter, love, and lessons learned through shared experiences. And as they continued weaving new stories together, they would honor him by embracing every moment as it came. Driving home, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over her. Grief may always be part of their journey, but so too would be love, the kind that transcended time and space. Memories would serve as reminders that while Mark may no longer walk beside them physically, his spirit lived on in everything they did. In the meals they shared, the laughter that echoed through their days, and the traditions they built in his honor. As Lily chattered excitedly about what stories she wanted to share next time at the restaurant, Sarah realized how important it was to hold on to these experiences, how vital it was to create spaces where love could flourish amid loss. Together, they were crafting a life rich with meaning, a life filled with hope for tomorrow grounded firmly in love today, and this journey had only just begun.